your presentation is if I pushed it all the way back and I know what I'm saying is so. And
G-Con, you are a genius, bro.
So then I had,
This is so above my head. I'm not ashamed. This is so above my head right now, bro. I need you to help right now. Please.
yeah. So one day, I was, um, it was like I want to say probably like around 8 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been doing this program for a long time, and so I had an unction in my spirit. And the Lord said, "Look up into the sky, the heavens, and declare my glory." You know what I'm saying? At that time, I said there was a lot of meteor showers going on at that time, whatever. And so, I never really, what I'm saying, I just, waited for a while, never really tripped off of it. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to say probably like 6 months later, that's when I was sitting and I was watching YouTube, and it was this Jew. You know what I'm saying? He looked like an Arab. You know what I'm saying? He was a young guy. He was young, and he was talking about basically Christmas. And he was like that. His dad used to say Christmas was pagan, and some of it does have some paganism in it. But he began to show like certain things that I never seen before regarding the 25th, and certain things about when we start talking about celestial bodies and their positioning and stuff like that, especially when it comes to Genesis chapter 1 and 14. You know why God gave celestial bodies and certain things, and Psalms 19 was one of them. And so when he pointed out that Psalms 19, then he started walking it down about these bodies that met, and then how Daniel's clock was taking place, and also certain scriptures back in Numbers that talks about the talked about the star will come up out of a scepter will come up out of Jacob, or a star will come up out of Jacob. Then uh, that it kind of led back to this, and so when he was saying it, I was like, man, like around Christmas time, around this time, there are certain things that take place with celestial bodies that they recognize and play a role with also events that God has put in the stars, messages that God has put in the stars. And so with that part of my study, with other things I've studied, with ancient Sumer, you know what I'm saying, also Egyptians, and also why people was lining their temples up with certain celestial bodies that was in the heavens. And so it kind of like, what I'm saying, furthered my studies. And so then when I began to start to see about the Masoret, like we've been taught in westernized Christianity, certain things that's not true, because certain superstitions, and like he was saying, certain superstitions, and also when people start
Mm-hmm.
relating certain the stars basically to how they feel and their different passions and their desires and stuff like that. And so
Cutting
that's
people
what
off from the important information that they really do
exactly
need to know. Okay, go ahead.
exactly. And so that poses a problem. And so what I needed, it was definitely in there. And so you had to cut all the other stuff off. And so when I started realizing, I was like, the Masbrit, what's that? So Job was talking about the zodiacs, you know what I'm saying? But not in the reference to in relation to your like how you feel or stuff like that, but celestial bodies that line up with certain things in certain times, so we can know the times, and certain has certain messages behind it. And so when I begin to listen to it, I can't even find that video for nothing on YouTube no more. But it was a young Jewish, well, he wasn't Jewish at all. He was just a Jew. I'm saying he wasn't really off to that like that. He was real young, and he was looked at Arabic. But in that message, it led me to the star of Bethlehem, which was this. And he was pointing out certain things, and he was pointing out certain scriptures, and it just was lining up. And so when they start talking about the December the 25th is not necessarily Christ's birthday, but around that time is when the later on when the wise men met up at that time, that we see around this time from the 23rd to the 25th. But what's odd about it is that some of those things that Zeitgeist was saying, they had correct, but they used it and misinterpret the information for wrong. And one of the things they talked about is solar bodies or solar days, which was also looked at to be referenced to understand the times just as well within Genesis chapter 1 and 14, what God was talking about the times. And so one of the things that did it for me is that when I start reading other books that you might hear, what's that guy talk about who we be listening to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff like that. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Dr. Ken Johnson.
Yeah, Ken Johnson.
Uh-huh.
Ken Johnson, and also Michael Heiser. One of the things they talk about is a literary work, which is not really canon, but there is some things in it that is true, which talks about the Book of Enoch, which talk about how he taught the one of the angels began to taught them the secrets and certain forbidden things that humans should not been knowing. And so when you start talking about celestial bodies and where they line up at, and also certain where certain temples is at, you need to look at that in the Bible. Jacob's ladder. I'm saying all these different things. I'm saying you wouldn't know what they mean because we have this westernized mindset to where they blocked all of that. So what you actually need to know is not there. You know what I'm saying? So when we reading this stuff and Christ is talking about stuff, you ain't knowing what he's saying because they blocked it. But it's not like it's gonna like help you to get to heaven or nothing like that. It's just certain type of information. You know what I'm saying? That is really, you know what I'm saying, it is helpful to know, but at the same time, it's not nothing salvational if you don't know it, what language that he's talking. And so when I looked at these different celestial bodies that line up with these temples and why was they there and what's the importance of them being there, as well as even the temple that was in Israel, the tabernacle where it stood at for a reason. When it talks about the new moons and stuff like that and when to do certain things, all of that is really letting us know about these times and different signs and stuff like that. So that's what the Star of Bethlehem is really dealing with. And what we have learned is that you can this it's like the universe is like a clock. It tells the time. It tells time. And so it's like sprockets when you look at how it flows, how different stars circle each other and stuff like that. And so what they did was they would take things like reverse it. And so with this star that they seen, it was basically at the time, that would have been at the time of Christ, something that was in the sky at that time, and also different references that they gave the stars certain names. They looked at it as being that was the time of Christ, and most Christians was looking at it at that time too. And so that he mentions that in here just as well. And so that's what led me into this video. And so December that's during that time is not his actual birthday, but would have been the time that with from this, they said from September the 11th to the 13th would have been the time of Christ's birth. And 2 years later, they would have came to that star, you know what I'm saying, and stood up under that star. Christ would have stood up under that star around December, around that time. So that's that. And if I'm not mistaken, I haven't listened to it in a long time. And I'm not saying everything is absolute, but for the most part, with my studies and what I've studied with ancient cultures, as he stated, knew about a coming of a Messiah, about a coming of a Savior, ever since the fall of man. It's been taught that, and so a lot of the stories that we see, a lot of stories that we see that's talking about a virgin birth and all of those type of things, that's not really foreign to other nations. You know what I'm saying? Those other nations actually know about that stuff. And so hold on, this lady, she's steady talking, she going in. But anyways, that's not foreign to these other nations. They know about that. So um and it's been passed down from traditionally from their ancestors and all the way going back to our ancestors was dealing with Adam to Noah to all of these guys who was at that time was keepers of these things, and try to get people in line. There was priests of the Most High God, and so that's what this video is really dealing with. Now, I'm not saying everything is absolute because there's certain things that you could learn and you take it and you pull it out and it goes with your studies. You know what I'm saying? To where you can say, I know what this is about and what this is talking about, and how does this work? You know what I'm saying? So that's what he's bringing out this Psalm 19, which talking about David. Did not Israel know? And he parallels that basically with the stars. You know what I'm saying? Daniel's clock, because these magi, these men came to this and they seen this star in the east. So you would have to say, and these magi, when you study the magi or magos, these guys come from the east, and they go all the way back to Daniel's time and also farther back, and they was actually what you call magicians, and a lot of them was prophets and stuff like that. And I'm not saying everything they said was true, but what Daniel instructed them on certain things, they watched the stars. They had knowledge of the stars. They had knowledge of the season. They knew when to sow. They knew when to plant. They knew when certain things was coming. When certain and when you study these guys that come from the east, the Babylonians was some of the people who taught the world on a lot of astronomical events, also different cycles, and then they did bring out some things that dealt with astrology. And reason why they did the astrology thing is because they understood certain powers, and those certain powers that they understood that was born are constellations that ruled that was dealing with certain constellations with certain powers that ruled over man, and so men will follow or have familiar spirits after those certain deities, those certain forces, and so that's some of the things that where we have to come up out of that. Like when you talk about how men like when they talk about astrology and they say there's certain things that a Virgo would do. Well, the reason why they basing that off of that is there's a certain truth to that, but it's based upon witchcraft. So what I mean by that is they say Virgos are jealous people, people who are caring too, or people who you know, there's different things, qualities about them. Well, what they basing that off of is basically a power this beyond a familiar spirit, basically. So when you're born upon a certain star. So that familiar spirit, he gets familiar with you, and he knows what certain things. So that's why they can link up certain familiar things. But when you come to Christ, those are the things that you're supposed to forsake. Those are the things that you're supposed to not walk up under, but you come into basically the image and being conformed to the image of Christ. And so you don't walk up under that sign no more. You don't walk up under that familiar spirit or that star no more. Now these spirits get on their job. These fallen ones get on their job the minute you're born. But remember, you got angels that's on their job just as well. These angels, they cover you just as well. But you got also adversaries that's on their job, which is these fallen ones, and they familiar spirits. And every generational thing that you experience in your life, or everything that's been carried down, they know what to present certain things just as well. And it also plays role with you biologically just as well, with your material makeup. You know what I'm saying? This is why they ask you questions at the doctor. Did this person have this, or did this person have that? Why? Because they know that these things genetically could follow you down or be passed down or materialized just as well, especially when you start dealing with types of stress. So, you know, and all that, I'm just saying that, you know, we don't walk up under those type of signs, but we take that knowledge and we understand what is that talking about? What is these forces or these powers that people are following after? Well, Michael Heiser says that God gave men over basically to those things. So what things is he talking about? Those fallen ones basically did doctrines that gave you doctrines of devils, basically, to where they was familiar with you, familiar spirits, demons, and different things of that sort. So there's a certain truth to certain things that has been mixed in, and so we have to weed out. We have to weave that stuff out and say, well, okay, I see this right here, but this is but it's not that. And I think that's what he's demonstrating in this video. Now, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do agree that there is an importance to what he is saying, and that we need to look into that. And some things that that has us in a Western mindset, we need to get past it, because we'll never get to a level to where we will understand, or even be able to explain certain these things, to bring certain people out of certain things that they are in. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing, what I see with this. So that's why I think that people should watch this and kind of look at it. And a Jew had actually brought this out, and he was talking about Christmas. So there is some things that is very important about Christmas. Now, I will say this, and I'm gonna end it on this. Um, there's some important holidays or holy days that has been stolen. The enemy has immolated or taken those things that has been stolen. So every day that you see that you might think is pagan, that it might be a solar day, it might be a moon festival or whatever, just remember, you need to find out who had that day before, because that's what's actually going on here. A lot of these days that we see, or these times, new moons and blood moons and different days is coming forth. A lot of these days have been taken, actually. They've been taken. And so when a person says, well, we're going to take this day and we're going to glorify, or we're going to reverence the Messiah and glorify him in that, they lawfully can actually do that. They lawfully can do that. You know what I'm saying? If you look at Saturday, the first day, the second day, the third day, a lot of these days have been taken. You know what I'm saying? And so what a believer does is he takes those things where people has taken those things that has destroyed them. He glorifies them in Christ, and that's what they have done on Christmas. And this is when Paul says, whether Christ is being preached in a negative way, a good way, or whatever type of way, Christ is still being preached. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the fact, his name is still there. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody chooses to set aside a day and say, well, this day, this and that, I'm not talking about reverencing no Santa Claus or this other stuff or none of this stuff, but taking this day and saying, this is the day basically that, that they, some people set up certain things, but this is really what this really means. This is really the importance of this. And I think that in this video, this guy actually demonstrated, when it talks about the Star of Bethlehem and certain astronomical events that took place around this time, that would have been around the time of crisis as well.
You know what? I have to agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Especially, I'm glad that you brought out, G-Con, the fact of, a certain day that was actually kept in this way. Let's say it was, kept to Christ, like we just read earlier on. And you can find people later on down the line take that same day, like what Brother Brian brought out earlier regarding the Romans. What was that? Saint, what was that?
It was Arlenian, the Roman Empire in 274.
Right. What's the name of the day?
Celebrating Christmas, and it was Sola Victus. That's what it is. They put it on the 25th to match what the Christians were already doing.
Right, to try to compete with Christianity. And we find that a lot. People will take something that's actually meant to be good, and then they turn it to something else, change the meaning of the day, and now it has overshadowed what it really meant. But here's the good thing about it is that the true meaning, when you go and search for it, it's still there. And it can work vice versa. You can take something bad and turn it into what? You can say, you know what? I know y'all doing this on this day, but I'm taking this day to do it this day. And it's something that you said that it was lawful. I like that you said that, Brother G-Con. It's letting you know, nothing is, regarding of taking a certain day and restricting. Now, I don't want nobody to take Tuesday and make it bad, of course. But this has been done throughout the years. And here's the question: how many vamps did it go through? How many, changes did it go through? Well, we can see compared to the early Christians, what they did back then and all the way till now, it went through a lot of vamps. A lot of things were added, stuff that wasn't supposed to be there and whatever. And kind of, it seemed like it dampened the meaning. But again, as I was explaining to the class earlier, that again, Christmas, for me, and probably a few others, Christmas is about a day of Christ. It's not the Santa Claus and the reindeer, even though I like the movie. I ain't gonna lie. I like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie. But the meaning. And I think that's what happened. A lot of folks tried to fool with the meaning. And not enough people, especially today, Brother G. Khan and Brother Brian, they're not doing research, and they just running out here with pure ignorance, and it's sickening. It's enough to make your head spin. Like, where did you get that from? Did you actually look at both sides of the ticket? And unfortunately, I'm finding a lot of people, especially within these occults, are looking through things with tunnel vision. And I know here on the West, as you would call Western Christianity, they messed up and cut off a lot of things. Even in my research on other areas besides this one, I'm learning that a lot of things were cut off. And we have to punch through to actually get down to the nitty gritty truth. And that's what research and Bible study in these sessions are about. I will say this: I wish and I pray that these people in the cults, listen, I wish you would actually study and stop and going out there and what you think and then you can be wrong the whole time. So yeah, that was excellent, Brother G. Khan. Did you want to follow up with anything before I go back to the video?
I just no. I mean, I definitely agree. I think that even when you like, there's we just need to like I say, look into things like it's all right. Like even like they talk about Halloween, right? And so what I seen in church, what they did was they didn't celebrate Halloween. But what they did do is they took Halloween and turned it into what you call Holy Wing, to where they turned it into something that was holy, to where, you know, with the kids, you know what I'm saying, they begin to do something with them on that night. They did stuff with the kids, you know what I'm saying? In the churches, whether if it was, you know, taking them through, little cartoons of, what Christ did and little things of that, because they realized that the world has a big influence on these days, and so what you do is you have to turn these things, and so that's what a lot of these guys actually did. You know what I'm saying? They took a lot of these things and they turned it towards something that was good, and I think that there's nothing. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that that's a lot of good stuff that you can do, and so that's what we need to begin to do. Maybe take a lot of these things back. You know what I'm saying? And glorify God on these days, to where we say, hey, look, we're not gonna do what the world is doing on this day, in the sense of what they're doing, but we're gonna glorify God on this day and reverence Jesus on this day and make this day into something different. And so I don't think that that's lawful, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so I think that that's mainly what a lot of Christians' mission was to do, because a lot of these days they was days it was taken from certain things and made perverted, but then again, some days was created, but within that, you know what I'm saying, begin to take those things, you know what I'm saying, take them, you know what I'm saying, and say, oh, this is what we gonna do on this day. This what y'all do on this day, but let me give you the real meaning. So if a person say, well, we gonna celebrate Christ on this day, you know what I'm saying, and this is what they know that they did, well, hey, we know that Christ wasn't born on this day, but we do know that we're gonna glorify God regardless of what people got going on, whether if it's this day, because this is not a day for people to go into debt or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But this is a day to where we're gonna reverence Christ. Uh, some people celebrate Hanukkah. You know what I'm saying? You got people that deal with What else? What else? There's another one that some people deal with.
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa, yeah, Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so everybody is doing those type of things, or whatever case may be. And those who proclaim to be Israelites are basically doing the same thing too, because they taking what they can do, but not what actually the law tells them to do to reverence these certain days. You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what they're doing, because they're not doing it to how the biblical text tell you to follow these days. They doing it the way they basically the way they want to do it, basically. But
No, you know what? That was right there. I think you I thank God that you came up here because you just really broadened the conversation. And the Romans 14, which is definitely being ignored by these occult members, and the way I'm looking at it, from their perspective, I think it's a lot of an agenda of trying to control everything. But when it comes down to Christ, Brother G Khan, I'm seeing them just literally strip people of everything about Christ, the cross, Christmas, the especially Resurrection Sunday. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, really? There's no boundaries. Baptism, and all of these. And I know a lot of this stuff is not a salvistic issue, but even with the salvistic issues are even being fooled with, playing games with those the true things of God. And so the way I'm looking at it, and I said it earlier after Brother Brian's wonderful presentation, that it's a tactic of spying out people's liberty, and it's got something to do. You on to something. It's got something to do with this major cut off of crucial information. And I think that's unfair. I'm not blaming that part on the cults, but are they really responsible for some of that cutoff?
yeah, I think yeah, yeah, well, we all are responsible for it, because it's not just them, but it's us too, because we've it really it started with the Jews first, then it went towards us. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I was learning today. You know what I'm saying? Certain how Jews took on certain bad philosophy, and then it passed from the Jews to the basically the to the Gentiles, which is us, and we begin to do exactly what the Jews is. But you know, it started with the Jews first, and so they got off of course. So I think it's really all of us. So when you begin to look at all of us, we all have to look at certain things and get back to where we need to be at. So I think it's really all of us. I wouldn't just blame it on them, because we could look at certain things that we have to get together just as well as myself, just as well. And it's a learning process. And so that's what I would say with that. Is what I would say with them is that they begin to look, when you can't say, when you could sit up there and you can't say that I play a role in what's going on in this current world, as well as my ancestors with spreading certain things that was not biblical, uh, then that's when you find yourself where you off. And so that's what's going on with them. They say, well, we these chosen people. You know what I'm saying? That's what they'll say. Well, we're chosen, but you can't sit and say that I play a role with the current events that's going on in this world of some of the deception just as well too, and that you become a self-righteous person. And so that's something that we have to all look at and have to say, as a body of people, we need to come from up out of that. You know what I'm saying? Even some of the things that's been taught through some of the early church, it's a lot of things, a lot of arguments that was there that we need to revisit and look at and say, I don't think that was what the biblical text was saying. And so come from about a lot of this stuff, because as we begin to get closer to God and to the end times, then we gonna start to see that a lot of the things, uh, when we begin to look at God and we examine ourselves, we gonna really see that we just impure and unclean, and ourselves are stained And that's why it's important that we put on the righteousness of Christ. That's why I think that's the most important thing, and that's why I think that God expresses love so much, because that uh, we put her basically, you know what I'm saying, to understand that, and I think Christ was the example of that greatest love, and that love that he expressed was the very image of the Father, the closest image of the Father that we can see. And once we experience that type of love, then we can get past. We could bury each other's infirmities. Now we got some people just pure wicked. And they just pure
Ooh,
wicked.
please speak on it.
Yeah,
Speak
they
on
just
it.
pure wicked, and they just mainly it's gonna be the ones who you gonna see that they for filthy lucre. You know what I'm saying? It's always something about money. It's always something about fame or glory. You know what I'm saying? And and some people just pure ignorant. We got people. Some people just wicked, and some people just ignorant. And so we got to make a difference between those who are ignorant and those who are just wicked. Now you got wicked and ignorance together, but it's some people who they just at a higher level, just pure demonic. They know already what they doing is demonic. They don't care. But some people they ignorant of their wickedness to where they just don't they just ignorant of it. So that's what we got to make a disciple, and it's gonna take love to realize and look at that and say this person is really ignorant. Now I can point out certain people who I know is just pure demonic at what they're doing, deceitful, liars. Yehukanan being one of them. You know what I'm saying? And he just a liar. He used manipulation. He'll lie on you. You know what I'm saying? And he'll bribe. He do all these little lies and these little things. And so that's the type of person you gotta look at and say this person is just pure wicked, man. He'll lie, cheat, steal, and so that's what a lot of these guys who being coached. That's what they do. And I'm not saying it's just an Israelite thing because I could name a lot of Christians that do it too. They will lie, steal, cheat. You know what I'm saying? Don't love on people just to win a argument, just to win an argument. Really not realizing that those people need to be saved. Those people are we all enter we all come would be like Paul in a sense where we persecuting or doing certain things and not knowing that we're not doing the will of God, but we think we're doing the will of God. So that's what I would suggest to people is that always finding some way to love on people, always to pray for people, you know what I'm saying? And even with praying for those who this is pure wicked, like the Huguenot, he just purely wicked. You could just look at him and just say, this brother wicked right here. You know what I'm saying? And them other brothers, Sam and all them, they side with wickedness. That's all they do. They can't even tell you when somebody is right. They're still gonna side with the wickedness. They won't even say, well, I can't get with you on that, bro, because that's wicked right there. They still will side with wickedness and won't even say nothing about it. Won't correct it. Won't do none of that. That's and these days we got to get to the point to where we taking it in hand to where we are correcting each other. We're not afraid because if you love somebody, you're gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, brother, this and that. I seen this and that. They don't do that. They just pure wicked, filthy gain and lucre, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's about with them. But so that's all I gotta say about that, though.
No, I think you spoke truth to power, sir. Or should I say lack of power. Brother Brian, did you want to say something on top of that? I don't know how you can follow up behind that.
No, he's right on the money, cause
You right on the money. G-Con, you tend to have that effect, sir. You do. But glory be to God.